Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Our Audio Neon Pro. This is the updated version of the original Neon, excuse me. And I think that this is a review that will surprise some, and will, well, not surprise but confirm what others had thought about it. Um, what am I going to be comparing it with? Just before I start actually going into more details, I'm going to be comparing it to the Fearless Audio S8 Z. Why? Well, because first of all, it's an 8BA IM. That one there is a 10, the Pro, the normal Neon is also a 10, and that one there, the RSV is a 5. So in terms of the BA quantity, that will be the one is, let's say, out of the selection criteria that I wanted. But I've selected the S8Z because it's the one that has the price which is the most similar to the Neon, to the Neon Pro, excuse me, which is roughly $600. This is about 550, 560, depends. The Neon Pro is just touching $600. The Softears RSV, I've got it here because it is still, let's say, the reference neutral IEM by which many compare other BA IEMs with. And I mean, fair enough, yes, it's $730. It's a big chunk of money if you think about that. It's only got 5 BAs. I mean, the Neon Pro's got twice the amount of BAs, and it's cheaper. But the truth is that the Softears, the RSV, has been exquisitely tuned, and it's a reference for a good reason. It's an IM that a lot of people use as kind of a go-to comparison point for good reason. Okay, and then of course the two Our Audios, the Our Audio Neon, the original one, which I already had for a couple of months now. Well, a couple of months, I've had it for a good 6-7 months now. I mean, what can I say that I haven't already said? Beautiful build quality. Internally, the parts used are top quality Sonian and Knowles BAs. Really nothing that can actually, all of the IEMs here are all using Knowles and Sonian. So in terms of the hardware, let's put it, all of them are very well equipped. It's just then down to what tuning has been chosen, or what style of focus of sound has been the one that has wanted to be implemented. And yeah, that's it. And as for our star of the day, which is a Neon Pro, I really like this transparent shell with this really nice faceplate. It doesn't really do this justice. Okay, but as you can see, very nice. Internally, you can see the construction, which is absolutely flawless. I mean, really, you can confirm that they are. You can actually see the part numbers. It's 38D1X for the base dual, 38D1Xs. It's got 37 series, and then it's got the Knowles for the rest. There's no doubt that's what's inside there, contrary to what sometimes happens with other brands, but let's not get into that. Anyway, in terms of the construction quality, again, flawless. It's the same thing as the original Neon, and this quality of construction follows itself throughout. I mean, RSV, nothing can be said about it as well. The Fearless as well, exquisitely built. I mean, you can see that they did their homework, and it's got then this kind of plastic silicone inside, which is used to absorb vibrations of the actual BAs, and thus does away with any possible resonances that might occur. In terms of tips, I've used 07s, KB Ears 07s on the RSV and the Neon Brothers, and I've used actually also some well, sorry, these ones are actually the original original Fearless audio tips on the Fearless. It worked. I mean, I tried the KV ears, and for some reason, although graphically the difference was minimal, for some reason these just seemed to work better. So I just left them on. That's it. Cable wise, I'm using all XI NHS cables. All of them are probably on the upper tier of what XI NHS makes, and you can see by the actual quality of the cable. I mean, not that cables are a big deal as long as they are decent quality, but it does look good. I mean, the RSV does look really nice with this kind of braided cloth cable. I don't know what to call this. It looks really smart. The neon as well looks really nice with this nice thick cable that XNHS makes, silver plated. So anyway, that's it. Okay, let's go on what we want to know, which is the sound and what is it all about, and is it an upgrade over the original, and all of that. Well, let me just start by showing the following graph, and I think the following graph will be very self-explanatory. The only thing that was done on the Neon Pro as compared to the standard Neon was the addition of a switch. Let's see if I can focus this here for you guys. There we go. See the switch there. There's a switch, and that switch does, as is the case as well in the Duno SA6, it controls the bass output. Period. It's as simple as that. There's no other thing. But by controlling the bass output, inevitably you also end up affecting slightly the rest of the frequency range, and you affect it acoustically and as well graphically wise. You can see that it has also changed slightly the overall signature. So the purple line is the original Neon, so you can see this really big thick mid bass bump. It's got loads of bass, the Neon, and then although the mids maintained itself pretty flat and everything, it started rolling off, and then there was some energy past 10k that, yes, it was perceived the treble was enough, but if you recall, I actually mentioned that sometimes I would have liked the Neon to have just a little bit extra air up top. Something along the lines of, let's say, a DT600, just a touch. But anyway, overall, I liked the Neon. I thought the Neon was honest in what it was presenting, which was a fun, engaging sound signature, full of energy, full of power, full of impact, great for high energy music. And when the comparison was done with the RSV, the intention here was not to, oh, this is better, that is worse, or no. These are two totally different philosophies. Laid back, smooth, audiophile kind of presentation, high energy, engaging, full of guts, audiophile presentation. Okay? So two different philosophies, more flattish neutral, more V-ish type signature, but both are amazing at what their design premise was supposed to be. All right, so it was unfair to say that this one was better than that or that one was better than this one. They had focuses on different areas. And as you can see here by the graph, yes. So what happened with the Neon Pro? Well, the Neon Pro, with the addition of that switch, lowered down the bass. As you can see, the whole bass has come down quite a bit. I would say 3 dBs. At some points, almost touches 4 dBs, okay? And by bringing it down that much, not only is the transition from the sub bass, which was never an issue, but not only is the transition of the sub bass into the mids much smoother, but the transition, the sub bass to the mid bass much smoother, but also the transition from the mid bass to the mids is much smoother, less noticeable, let's put it that way. It's more coherent. So it completely changes the whole dynamics of the IEM. No longer do you have this sensation of over thickness, although this over thickness is nice and is engaging, but no longer do you have this sensation of over thickness, and you now approximate its overall sound balance to a more correct, a less colored sound balance. I wouldn't consider this to be no longer a real V shape so much as the original one was. I would say this is a warm, mild, very mild V with warm bass, okay? And then in the mids and highs, as you can see, It's maintained itself very much the same, but there's a little bit of extra energy there in that 6-7k area, and a little bit, well, a lot more energy in the past 10k. And what this translates to is that air that was lacking in the original one is now present. Not only because it actually is there, but because the lesser quantity of bass also allows that part, that upper frequency range to shine. And so it just opens up the sound completely. This is now capable of being a more fair and just comparison to the RSV, in the sense that it now has an equally cohesive and coherent presentation, although not as laid back as the RSV, because the RSV is really laid back. It's very relaxed. There's still a little bit of extra energy there, but that energy that is there is so well matched with the rest of the frequency range that it now does make sense for me to say, yes, there is a comparison that we can now make between the two, because they are both equally more audiophile, less colored capable. Let's put it that way. Let me start by trying to get away, or trying to get out of the equation, the two that I think really do not stand a chance with either one of these two. The Fearless. The Fearless is an IEM that, well, graphically, it's basically a Neon Pro with the bass switch off. And by having the bass switch off, in terms of bass, like I said, yes, it's very similar, but then it's got a lot more energy up top. It follows the curve of the Neon Pro very much. So I actually don't have the graph here. My apologies. So if I was going to show you the graph here of the Neon Pro, so let's look at the green line. Basically, the Fearless is the Neon Pro all the way up to about 2K. Okay, so it follows the green line of the Neon Pro perfectly, but then it carries on going up another further 2 to 3 dBs. So that whole area there between 2 and 8K is significantly more energetic. And what that all translates to is that the sound is, in my opinion, overly thin, overly bright. If you listen to it at low volume, yes, it will be amazing, super detailed, super clean, but equally, that extra amount of energy that it has gained in the upper mids and presence area has made it lose a little bit of that thump that is needed. It accentuates a little bit more the BA timbre to a certain extent. So tonality and timbre wise, it's not as correct. For example, the RSV, I've mentioned it already a few times. Its timbre and its tonality are absolutely. I think it's the biggest calling card. It just doesn't sound like a BA. It sounds very much like a DD, like a very well executed single DD. That's what it does. It's been very well tuned in that aspect. This one, you notice straight away it's a BA, very forward sounding BA. Everything is very forward. Vocals, instruments, everything is very in your face. If you like that, perfect. I personally find it a little bit overbearing. And yes, although I do listen to it occasionally, and I listen to it for comparisons purposes like I did here, it's not an IEM that I run to constantly. No, it serves its purpose like it did here, but it's not an IEM that I go to on a regular basis, which I do go to, for example, the Neon. The Neon, I like listening to it quite often. So, very bright signature, detailed, yes, it's a monster in terms of its technicalities. Very good, but just too much. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you have the Neon. The Neon is the complete opposite. Loads of bass, loads of energy, which can overbear then the upper frequencies, so the mids and the upper mids and the presence and so on and so forth. And depending then obviously on what music genre you want. If you don't, well, first of all, if you don't like bass, then you don't go for the Neon, period. That's the first thing. But if you're a more vocal centric person, so on and so forth, then this is probably not the ideal. What this will be very good for is if you like, or if you do any live music, if you're a magician and you want a nice IEM for you to listen to yourself or to listen to whatever, you are listening to in a live music reproduction, this is probably a good option. Okay, it's got enough power, it's got enough energy for that kind of a job. And overall, we already know what I think of the Neon. It's a fun, it's an engaging IEM, full of energy. Yes, it has its minor flaws here and there, but all of them have. And yeah, that's it. So these two are out of the equation here, which basically leaves us then with the RSV and the Neon Pro. And let me start here by okay, this was the original graph of the Neon with the RSV, and you could straight away see why the comparison just didn't make sense. There was just way too much of way too much bass on the Neon. It was just too overbearing for it to be compared correctly, because the design philosophy of one and the other was totally different. So it just didn't make sense. If you wanted a high energy presentation and loads of bass and impact, and you liked listening to EDM and so on and so forth, definitely go for the Neon. But if you wanted something more, let's say, relaxed, more this is always wrong or complicated to say, but more politically correct, then obviously you went for the RSV. Okay, so that was the original presentation. All right, now this is the presentation, or this is the curve of the Neon Pro versus the RSV. So the RSV, see if I can actually, okay, the RSV is the black line. Okay, so you can see it's got that little bump there in the 50 to 70 hertz area, and it goes down nice and smooth. It maintains itself almost ruler flat smooth, then starts going up, peaks at around 3k, it maintains itself nicer and flat, comes down. Okay, and then we have the two curves, which are red and green, which is basically the red, the Neon with the switch on, the Neon Pro with the switch on, and the green, the Neon Pro with the switch off. Okay, and as you can see, they are way more closer to the RSV in terms of the bass output, especially the switch off, very close. Yes, there's a little bit more of a dip here between the 200 and 800 hertz area, but not really noticeable. You've got the pinna gain, peaks at about close to 2k peaks, and then maintains itself nice and flat and very equal in terms of overall energy to the RSV. And then yes, you also have that energy very close to the RSV up top. So what does this translate to in practical terms? Well, in practical terms, what this all means is that the disparity between the two has now basically disappeared. You can see that there's more commonality in terms of what is the overall sound that both are trying to obtain. This is still slightly more laid back than the Neon Pro. The Neon Pro still has a little bit more energy than the RSV. And of course, depending on the music genre, it will not be a little bit more, it will be way more. But where then the differences start occurring is when you play, for example, some EDM or some more high energy music, you notice that the RSV, yes, can do it, and it does it very well, but the Neon Pro just edges it out slightly. On the opposite end of the spectrum, when you play stuff which is very vocal centric, very vocal focused, okay, yes, the RSV is absolutely amazing, but if before the Neon would be, let's say, behind it, it's now on par. The Neon Pro is now on par in terms of its mid capabilities to the RSV, in my opinion. And on certain music, I think it actually surpasses it, because what it has in terms of that energy up top in the higher frequency, it fills out the mids better, in conjunction with the fact that the bass as well can on occasions actually fill out the mids also slightly better, and it just gives certain music an overall more engaging presentation than the RSV does. Mind you, and please keep in mind, these are not huge differences. Okay, these are small differences. La Luna from Climatic is one of those songs. The RSV does it beautifully. I mean, no flaw there. The Neon just edges it out ever so slightly, because it's just that little extra amount of cleanliness and energy that it's got in the presence area. Okay, it's just that little extra that it's got there, and that little bit more of air that it's got. It just edges it out slightly. Larry Carlton, Sunrise Live, the live version. Honestly, again, RSV, beautiful. The Neon Pro just slightly edges it out again. It's just got more sense of space in terms of the soundstage, and I guess that's because technically I think the Neon Pro is superior to the RSV. It's got a wider soundstage, deeper soundstage, and better imaging. The 3D effect, it will very much be very dependent on what song you're listening. But overall, I find that the Neon Pro is slightly edging out the RSV in the technicalities. Where does the RSV edge out the Neon Pro? It edges it out in the tonality and the timbre, still being slightly more correct than on the Neon. But these are minimal differences, minimal differences. Over here, you never get a sense of it being colored, let's put it that way. While over here, you occasionally get the feeling that the sound has been slightly colored. Okay. Forbidden Fruit from Candace Springs, the voice, either one of them is amazing. I mean, I can't really, I cannot say which is better. What other? There's so many songs. The City from Paul Brown, again, the guitar and the voice. The guitar is better on here, the voice is actually better on there. So, you know, what else? Daylight from D Sound, again, bass and guitar. The bass and the guitar, the bass in terms of timbre better here, the guitar better here. Reverend Green from Jeff Corber, but I mean, it's instrumental, beautiful. Both of them do it exquisitely well. I mean, like I said, I'll post the songs that I usually use in my playlist, and you guys can have a listen to those songs. And if you have an RSV, you can listen to them in the RSV. And if you ever get a chance to listen to a Neon Pro, you can listen to it on a Neon Pro. But what I basically want to say with what I'm about to say now is that a significantly step forward has been taken by Wood Audio in the Neon Pro. It is a much better IEM in terms of its overall coherence. Yes, for those that bought the Neon, you might say, oh well, damn it, I should have bought the Neon Pro. Well, you can still get that magic if you equalize the Neon Pro, and all you have to do is just bring down the bass a little bit. You bring down the bass a little bit and you will get 95% of the Neon Pro. That's my honest opinion. I've done that. I brought down the bass curve on the Neon, and I got, like I said, 95% of the Neon Pro. So you can still do it. But the Neon Pro is definitely a big improvement. I guess that they basically listened to some of the feedback of some people that did get the Neon. And if, as I was saying earlier, if before to compare the Neon to the RSV was not really a fair comparison, because the design philosophy and the kind of sound that was being trying to be obtained and everything was totally different. Now, yes, now it does make sense for me to compare the two. And what I can say is that honestly, this is a viable option to the RSV. It is something which deserves more attention. It deserves to have people say, okay, I'm going to take the plunge and I'm going to get this, because honestly, you're not going to be disappointed. You are not going to be disappointed, I can guarantee you. The plus fact here, or the extra bonus thing that you have here, is because it has this bass switch, which it's very noticeable, the difference. If you are one of those people that sometimes is in the mood to have your a little bit more engaging presentation of music, then you flick a switch and you can do it, and you know that it will do it better than the RSV. That's the truth. It will do it better than the RSV. The RSV is still a clear winner in terms of its timbre and tonality. Yes, I don't deny it. It's beautiful, okay? But in terms of being like its younger brother, the Allure, kind of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde vibe. This is better. It can be as equally balanced out and smooth, although with just a little bit extra energy, as the RSV when it has to, but it can also be a bass monster with the flick of a switch if that's what you're desiring. And as I mentioned before, price is $600, so it's still a good price difference. I mean, it's $100+ difference here, yeah, look, there's really nothing more that I can say. Well built, well done. The company is listening to its customers, so yeah, I think we can only expect good things from them. I know there's a couple of other iems which they have on the foreseeable future to be released, which will be quite interesting. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you. As always, please like and subscribe. Any questions, just feel free to ask, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, take care. Bye bye.